Hello teachers, so a lot of you ask me and wonder, should I use the student's first language to teach English? So in this video, we're going to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of using the student's first language when it comes to teaching English. So this method of teaching was used in the past a lot, and it's called the grammar translation method. And that's when you use the student's first language to teach them English or any other second language. Some of the advantages of using this approach is that students can notice the cultural differences between their own language and the second language. So for example, if you have Chinese students and you're using the grammar translation method, students can notice that in English, we tend to be a little bit more indirect, but maybe speakers of other languages, maybe like Chinese or European languages, they can be a little bit more direct and to the point, which in English can be seen a bit rude and maybe inconsiderate. The second advantage of using this method is that students can notice the difference between the grammar of their first language and how it's structured and the grammar that we use in English. So for example, in English, in a simple sentence structure, you can see that we use a subject and then a verb and then the object. But other languages like Arabic, for example, they can actually have two different structures for simple sentences. So they can also use the subject, verb, and then object structure, but they can also use verb and then the subject and then the object. So your students can actually notice the difference between the structure of a simple sentence in their first language and the structure we use in a simple sentence in English. Now let's talk about the disadvantages. The first one is that your students will not really get a chance to practice listening or speaking. When you rely on using the student's first language, students can have very limited time to practice English speaking and listening. Another disadvantage of using this method is that it lacks authenticity. So when you use translation, that doesn't really reflect the natural usage of the target language, which is English. So students can have a very hard time understanding idiomatic expressions and slang language because it doesn't really translate the same from their first language to English. Another disadvantage also is that this method focuses more on accuracy and ignores fluency. Because you're asking your students to translate all the time, that makes them overthink everything they say. Because before they say anything, they're gonna take some time to translate from their first language to English, and that can create a lot of hesitations and pauses in their speech, which is actually something we try to do to improve fluency. We're trying to limit pauses and hesitations, but by using this method, we're hindering their progress when it comes to fluency. The last disadvantage we can discuss today, and in my opinion is the most important one,
is that using the grammar translation method can really hinder your students' ability to use English outside of the classroom in real-life situations.
So all the knowledge and all the input the students actually learn during the lesson, they cannot really apply in real life when they use English. Because of course, they're gonna think first about their first language, and again with that process of translating in their head first before they speak, that takes a long time, so they cannot really have spontaneous conversations outside of the classroom. One of the most important things we do as teachers is to mimic or try to create real-life learning. So we're trying to allow the students to take what they learned from the classroom and to use that in the real life. But when you rely too much on the grammar translation method, that really affects students' usage of English outside of the classroom. So these were some advantages and some disadvantages of using the grammar translation method. Just remember that one of the best things that a teacher can actually do is to make sure that the students are getting what they need and they're getting what they want. So we're trying our best to meet the students' needs and wants, and sometimes in some situations we really have to translate from the student's first language to English, but in most cases we really don't need to. So you really need to think about your students and what they need and what they want, and then you can decide if you want to use the grammar translation method or not. So that's it for today's video. If you want to watch more videos about teaching and training, you can watch some of our other videos. And if you want to learn more about our courses and training sessions, you can visit our website. And as always, if you like this video, please share it with as many teachers as you can, and I'll see you in the next video.